morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 4 and episode number 419 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah! Today, recording day, is Friday, July 5th. Is that a special day?
It's day my vacation starts.
Oh, yes.
It's my
It is a special day.
I've been so preoccupied with the work, production, getting things caught up on the production end of things, getting prepped for the vacation, getting packed, getting the dog taken care of, that last night we're lying in bed and Bridget says, I'm going to sing to you in the morning. And I'm like, why? Like, okay, but what for? She's like, what? Your birthday? Oh, yeah, right. That's tomorrow. I forgot my own birthday. That's how tired and busy I've been. Genuinely, I'm like, why would you sing to me? I don't understand. I mean, sure, if you want, but yeah.
So, happy birthday, Mr. Grizzly. Oh,
Thank
there
you.
we go. All the kids. Yes. There we go. So, yeah, birthday and vacation, like, happening simultaneously.
Yes, and my flight's been delayed by an hour.
Please tell me you're not flying WestJet.
Oh, no. Well, I am flying home on WestJet, but I'm there flying to Calgary on Porter.
Okay.
And, well, it's an hour and 15. It was supposed to fly out at 7:15. I get a message at like 6 a.m. Flight is delayed till 8:30 p.m. I'm like, shouldn't I get some money for that?
Good question. I don't know about the. I'm
Here's all I
sure
want.
there's a certain amount of delay afterwards. Yes.
I went to check in online last night. You know, you can check in 24 hours, and it's like, oh, you bought through a third party. So, because I went through a different online company to buy it at a cheaper price, and they said, oh yeah, you have to check in at the kiosk. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I'm looking at it. It says one piece of one personal item, no carry on. I'm like, what? No. I bought these tickets with carry on. That's what it said when I bought them. So I'm probably gonna have to pay $30 at the gate so I can bring my carry on with me, which is just.
I know. I've never understood that. Like, this is all that drip pricing that people are talking about. It's like you're traveling somewhere. Of course, you're bringing a suitcase of some kind, or a bag, or like, what is this?
It's just
no. Sorry, it's like this. I want to avoid a luggage fee, so I'm just going to travel in these, and I'll buy everything there, and then just leave it there.
Yeah,
like this, or I'll wear all the layers at the same time. Like, what? I don't understand this. Oh, well. I'm seeing comments in the chat because, yes, your Eager Beaver is clean shaven. Kits and Cubs, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, a big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Prepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Mr. Grizzly, we touched on it a little bit, but how's your mental health today?
I think it's pretty good. I'm still, again, like I said yesterday, I'm not an anxious flyer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a minorly anxious traveler, only in that if I was driving, no problem.
Right.
Until I'm seated on the aircraft, I'm anxious.
Yep.
And once we get on the aircraft, I'm fine. Pour me a drink and let me relax. I'll wake up in a couple hours when I arrive at my destination. That's not a big deal. That's the easy part. It's the making sure we get there, to clear security, getting through security, which is always an anxiety-inducing thing. And only because it's like, there's my stuff going away on its own. Is anything going to get stolen? There's my laptop. There's my camera. There, you know what I mean? Is anything going to get stolen? That's part of the anxiety-inducing aspect of traveling today. I get it. It is what it is, but it does add to the anxiety. So I usually stop in the airport bar before the flight, after the security, and maybe have a libation or two to bring the temperature of the room down.
Indeed. I hear you. All right, let's surprise the kits here. Okay. I never know whether to say anything because some people don't like clowns.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you're explaining why you're shaved.
Yes, but this is why I'm shaved. Kits and Cubs.
That's a little disturbing.
Theater is going to have a one-act theater festival over the course of the weekend.
Did you go for the Joker look intentionally?
This is what the director wanted. I did not do my own makeup this time because I'm not that good.
Yeah, that looks like the Joker from Batman. I'm not kidding. You look like Heath Ledger.
Yes, Mr. Otter and Kit Ray turned around and says, "I've never been more afraid of you in my life."
I know it's supposed to be funny, but all I can see is I'm gonna make this pencil disappear.
So yes, it's a one-act play called "Left Alone" by my friend Jay West Secord, and yes, we are clowns, but we are not evil clowns.
Okay.
Maybe we are.
Insane Clown Posse.
Don't know.
Juggalo.
Yeah, Insane Clown Posse. All right, Kits and Cubs, the news. And good morning, and thank you everyone who joined us. Well, the big news is the UK elections, of course. And as expected, the Labour Party won massively. They have an absolute outright majority. So there's
majority. It's like 170 seats.
Oh yeah. Labour lost huge.
No, not Labour.
Sorry, not Labour. The Conservatives lost huge.
Yeah, Labour won.
Collins
lost.
Yes. Sorry, excuse me. Conservatives lost huge. Not huge enough for my liking.
No, they're not completely decimated, but pretty close. Pretty close.
But they still had over 100 seats. Like I was really, really hoping like they'd be left with less than 100 and like somewhere in the 20s would have been really nice. To send a very, very clear message. Right? Pardon?
There's still pockets of conservatism. And
yeah.
Well, and there's also people in the UK who are like people in this country who, well, I'm voting conservative because I've always voted conservative. I'm like, yeah, but like it makes me think of that story because it's so poignant that Nate told us about how he was sitting in a diner and there was a father and son and a couple other people, and somebody asked the father, "Who are you voting for?" And he says, "Conservative." And the son, who is out, it's not a secret, he's gay, and he looks at his father and he says, "What?" "Well, I've always voted conservative." He goes, "Yes, but Dad, these people don't want me to exist. But I've always voted conservative." It's like it's a brainwash. I don't know. Or it's just what they're used to, and they're so afraid of change. But I'm like, but the people who you're voting for literally do not want your child to exist. They're like, well, that's not true. Yeah, the evangelicals in that party absolutely think that way.
Mm-hmm.
Preston Manning, Stephen Harper, Pierre Poilievre loving individuals in that party absolutely want that. Remember when Stephen Harper was sworn in, he did so on a PBCC Bible with the leaders of that church sitting in the front row. I've got the book from Marcy McDonald. I'll be reading it while I'm in Alberta. Because I haven't had a chance to get into it. I've been so busy. Yeah. So it's the creep of evangelical Christians, in quotation marks, into politics in this country and how they've taken over the Conservative Party. It was the Reform Party, and then it was the Canadian Alliance Party. Then it was the Canadian Conservative Reform Alliance Party, CCRAP. Then they just shortened it to Conservatives, and here we are today.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So, in the UK, the seats, according to the BBC, the Labour Party has won a landslide majority with nearly all the results declared in the 2024 general election. The party is set to take 412 seats with a majority of more than 170. That is not the largest amount of seats that Labour has ever gotten. They've gotten in the 430s before.
It's the largest since 1945, though.
Yes, exactly. So this is the worst Conservative result in terms of seats in history for the Conservatives, with the party forecast to win as few as 122 seats. The Liberal Democrats have their highest tally since 1923, with the party taking 71. The SNP, which is a Scottish National Party, is forecast to end the night on 10 seats, which is a big drop because they were in the 50s before. Reform UK, and I'm guessing this is called Plaid Cymru, because Plaid Cymru is sort of the Welsh party. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure exactly how things are pronounced in Welsh letters.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah,
So that one was just a guess. But Reform UK is the party of Nigel Farage, and the Green Party have 4 each. So all those 4 of them. Nigel Farage, a little disappointment for him because as soon as the polls closed, they had an exit poll right off the bat, and it was predicting 13 for Reform UK. They only got 4, but unfortunately for the world, Farage himself, after 8 times trying, finally got his seat, which means we're going to hear from like one person who's going to try to dominate the landscape, who will never shut up.
He's the Pierre Poilievre in the UK.
Exactly. Yeah.
Never shut his mouth in his life.
Yeah. And the negative Nancy, never anything positive to say, always ready to point the finger and point you in the direction of who to hate. He's the guy who's willing to give you your daily 2 minutes of hate.
Well, I mean, he's the guy who was behind the UK Independent Party who spouted all kinds of lies, number one. And number two, he spearheaded the Brexit program, which is, as we well know, has not been good for the UK.
Mm-mm. It's been terrible.
I remember sorry, I just wanted to interject for a second. One of the lies he spread a few years ago was that, and this is an outright lie, which is easily provable that it's a lie. He started to say that Muslim doctors in the UK did not have to wash between surgeries. They didn't have to wash. I'm like, what? That goes against one of the tenets of Islam, which is cleanliness. Like literally one of the tenets of Islam is cleanliness. So that's just a bullshit lie that he's trying to say filthy immigrants is what he's trying to say. Mm-hmm. And it's a buddy of mine in the UK said, and I showed him right there in the Quran, the English translation, where it has cleanliness is next to godliness, as they say. And it's important in Islam that you keep yourself groomed and neat and clean. Period. So, this guy's just spouting hateful lies to harm people. Mm-hmm. He's a scumbag.
Yeah. So other parties, including those in Northern Ireland, are forecast to get 23 seats. Labour's vote share is up by less than 2 points from 32% to 34%, but the Conservatives have seen their vote share fall by about 20 points. Turnout across the UK as a whole is 60%, the second lowest in a UK election since 1885. Only 2001 was lower with 59%. Labour has around a 34% share of the vote across the UK and the Conservatives 24%. While the Liberal Democrats are expected to have the third highest number of seats, it is Reform who are currently in third place by share of vote. However, Reform have found it difficult to convert votes into seats because it seems that their vote is probably more diffuse. The party has returned 4 MPs so far, including party leader Nigel Farage in Clacton. The Conservative vote share suffered particularly in areas where high numbers voted to leave the European Union. Regretsig. Falling by 27 points in constituencies where more than 60% voted leave. Votes for the Conservatives in constituencies in England and Wales, where large numbers of people had mortgages, fell about 24 points to 32%, while the Labour share grew 5 points in these places to 28%. Labour support in constituencies with large Muslim communities fell about 23 points to 39%. Vote share in these areas for the Tories fell 12 points to about 13%. Let's see. The Greens have recorded their best general election performance yet, according to polling experts. Will likely win 7% of the vote, but I think that probably translated to just 1 seat for them throughout the election, from what I could tell, at least at the last time I checked actual party standings. Let's see about it. So in Scotland itself, Labour have won many of seats in Scotland, while the Scottish National Party has lost more than 35. The Liberal Democrats have taken a handful, and the Conservatives have so far held on to 5. The SNP share of the vote is down 15 points, while Labour is up by 17 north of the border. In Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon had retired prior to this election, and there was a little bit of scandal as she was going out. And of course, with the failed referendum bid, and now a lot of people feeling that they got screwed because the UK pulled out of Brexit when, they went to vote for Scottish independence. They decided to remain because the UK was at least still part of the EU, or was going to be. And
which
then
benefits Scotland.
And then that didn't happen. So, the Scottish got screwed, as they say.
As I understand, there was around a 57% turnout. It might be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but I think it was about a 57% turnout for the voters of the voting public.
The final tally, because I'm not sure what the timestamp on this one is.
This is from 5 hours ago, so I don't have the final tally yet.
Yeah, the final tally is not completely in yet. So these numbers are from an hour ago, so they're a little more recent. In Wales, all the constituencies in Wales have been declared. Labour have gained 9 seats, taken the party's total to 27, despite their share falling by 4 points. The Conservatives lost 12 seats and now have no MPs in Wales. Plaid Cymru has gained 2 seats, putting the party to 4, and the Liberal Democrats have taken Brecon, Radnor, and I cannot pronounce that.
No, it's going to be Welsh.
The first word is CWM. It actually doesn't have a vowel. So I'm not sure. CWM, and the second word is TAW, TAWE, which is probably pronounced Shovababushta or something. Welsh is very interesting language, kids. In Northern Ireland, and here's an interesting result, and I saw JB when he was doing a live cast on this, mentioning this in particular. And I do not know why I went fuzzy all of a sudden, but there you go. In Northern Ireland, Sinn Féin has become Northern Ireland's largest Westminster party, winning all 7 seats it won in 2019, while the Democratic Unionist Party lost 3 of the 8 it held in the last general election. It seems that with Sinn Féin becoming Northern Ireland's largest Westminster party, the table could be set for reunification, because there's no way that reunification is happening without Sinn Féin, and now they are the majority political party, or the largest one in Northern Ireland. So if that, exactly, Kitlinda, JB was getting excited about Sinn Féin last night. So it opens I don't know if anybody ran on that, but it does open the door to the possibility, because the players that would need to be in place for it to happen, if it were to happen, now are.
Yeah, you're back in focus.
Yeah, I put it down to the lower resolution that usually sometimes toggles it back.
Just a second.
All right. So those are the results in the UK at the moment. And I'm going to send to Mr. Grizzly here a link to the resignation speech of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. And I'm sure as soon as you see it, you will think of an immediate compare and contrast with the once leader of another nation on our side of the pond.
Okay, let me just cue this up here. And I'm going to go off camera for a sec. I have somebody coming over in a minute to talk to us about the dog, watching her while we're gone. So I'll just jump out for a minute or two.
Good morning. I will shortly be seeing His Majesty the King to offer my resignation as Prime Minister. To the country, I would like to say first and foremost, I am sorry. I have given this job my all, but you have sent a clear signal that the government of the United Kingdom must change, and yours is the only judgment that matters. I have heard your anger, your disappointment, and I take responsibility for this loss. To all the Conservative candidates and campaigners who worked tirelessly but without success, I am sorry that we could not deliver what your efforts deserved. It pains me to think how many good colleagues who contributed so much to their communities and our country will now no longer sit in the House of Commons. I thank them for their hard work. I have heard your anger, your disappointment, and I take responsibility for this loss. To all the Conservative candidates and campaigners who worked tirelessly but without success, I am sorry that we could not deliver what your efforts deserved. It pains me to think how many good colleagues who contributed so much to their communities and our country will now no longer sit in the House of Commons. I thank them for their hard work and their service. Following this result, I will step down as party leader, not immediately, but once the formal arrangements for selecting my successor are in place. It is important that after 14 years in government, the Conservative Party rebuilds, but also that it takes up its crucial role in opposition professionally and effectively. When I first stood here as your Prime Minister, I told you the most important task I had was to return stability to our economy. Inflation is back to target, mortgage rates are falling, and growth has returned. We have enhanced our standing in the world, rebuilding relations with allies, leading global efforts to support Ukraine, and becoming the home of a new generation of transformative technologies. And our United Kingdom is stronger too, with the Windsor Framework, devolution restored in Northern Ireland, and our union strengthened. I'm proud of those achievements. I believe this country is safer, stronger, and more secure than it was 20 months ago. And it is more prosperous, fairer, and resilient than it was in 2010. Whilst he has been my political opponent, Sir Keir Starmer will shortly become our Prime Minister. In this job, his successes will be all our successors, and I wish him and his family well. Whatever our disagreements in this campaign, he is a decent, public-spirited man who I respect. He and his family deserve the very best of our understanding as they make the huge transition to their new lives behind this door, and as he grapples with this most demanding of jobs in an increasingly unstable world. I'd like to thank my colleagues, my cabinet, the civil service, especially here in Downing Street, the team at Chequers, my staff, CCHQ, but most of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to my wife Akshata and our beautiful daughters. I can never thank them enough for the sacrifices they have made so that I might serve our country. One of the most remarkable things about Britain is just how unremarkable it is that 2 generations after my grandparents came here with little, I could become Prime Minister, and that I could watch my 2 young daughters light Diwali candles on the steps in Downing Street. We must hold true to that idea of who we are, that vision of kindness, decency, and tolerance that has always been the British way. This is a difficult day, at the end of a number of difficult days. But I leave this job honoured to have been your Prime Minister. This is the best country in the world, and it is thanks entirely to you, the British people, the true source of all our achievements, our strengths, and our greatness. Thank you.
Well,
no, the election was rigged. No dead people voted. No, I was robbed. No, it's everybody else's fault but mine.
An adult.
Enjoy this, kids and cubs, because this may be the last time you see a conservative, democratically elected leader actually graciously hand over power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be done. Like, I'm surprised that that is not on a loop going next to some speech by Rumpled Frump Roast.
Uh-huh.
How it's done, how it's not done, how it's done, how it's not done. I guess making the point that the brown guy did it how it's supposed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
The brown guy with the funny sounding name.
Second generation immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Also, in the world of elections, in Iran, polls have opened and voting is underway in the presidential runoff, where voters are choosing between a reformist candidate. So the reformist candidate did make it to the top two. And then also, they always have everybody else. There's like one reformist candidate, then there's everybody else. But I mean, even the reformist candidate is approved by, council and, Ayatollah Khamenei. So, you don't really know exactly how it's going to happen. But yes, I believe Saeed Jalili is one of the candidates, and then Masoud Pezeshkian is the other. And I'm guessing we'll get results at some point about what's going on there. In France as well, they are getting ready for second round of its parliamentary elections on Sunday. The first round, of course, produced a victory for the far-right party of Marine Le Pen, the National Rally, along with its allies. They won around 33% of the vote in the first round. Now, it seems that parties have made alliances. In France, according to Euronews, it says that the far right is unlikely to secure the majority in the second round, according to polls. Latest polls suggest a far right majority can. This is from Euronews.
Mm-hmm.
The latest poll suggests the far right majority can be blocked in Parliament, with the National Rally falling short of the 289 seats needed to control the National Assembly. French centrist and left wing parties are trying to find a way to block a far right majority in Parliament, and a new poll shows that this is possible. A Harris Interactive survey for Challenges magazine, the first since Anti-National Rally Alliance was formed, indicates that Marine Le Pen's far-right party might not win the 289 seats needed to control the 577-seat National Assembly. According to this poll, efforts by President Emmanuel Macron's centrists and the leftist bloc, the New Popular Front, to block the far-right as a so-called Republican front might be effective. The forecast shows that the Rally National and its allies are likely to obtain between 190 and 220 seats. Meanwhile, the center-right Republicans who have allied with Le Pen were projected to win between 30 and 50. This outcome would likely prevent the possibility of a far-right minority group government supported by part of the LR parliamentary group. I'm not sure what the LR means in this case. The poll followed the withdrawal of more than 200 candidates. Now, here's interesting here. The poll followed the withdrawal of more than 200 candidates from various political parties who came in third in their constituencies in the first round, aiming to support the strongest candidate against the Rally National in the second round of voting on Sunday. Liberals, New Democrats, are you paying attention?
Mm-hmm.
They actually took out in order to consolidate the vote in the district, the person most likely to finish third withdrew from the race so that their votes could go to the person that would be most likely to finish second in order to help them finish first. They cooperated and put the nation first. Mr. Singh? Mr. Trudeau?
Yes. Work together. Put the nation first, Mr. Singh.
You have over a year, and now the French are showing you how it's been done, how to do it.
I'll be right back.
They're doing it.
Take care of something.
Yeah. But if ever it's proposed and people start yelling, oh my God, they're cheating. No. The French are doing it. The French just put the right to abortion in its constitution before the snap election happened. And now parties are saying, whoa, this Le Pen thing is such bad news that, you know what? Yes, we could all run and split the vote, but this time, exceptionally, we're not. Somebody should take a hint. That's all I'm saying. Prior to these withdrawals, polls had estimated that the RN was on track to win between 250 and 300 seats, which could have put them in majority territory. When asked by TF1 TV if she was concerned that the RN might fall short of the 289 seats needed for an absolute majority, Le Pen responded confidently, "No, I am very confident French people have a real desire for change." According to the Harris poll, the NFP is projected to secure between 159 and 183 seats, while Macron's Ensemble is expected to obtain only 110 to 135. Other parties are predicted to win between 17 and 31. And then the article asks, what's the plan in the event of a hung parliament? If the result of the second round vote confirms the projected hung parliament, France will enter a period of turmoil with no single faction securing sufficient seats to form a government. Incumbent French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal expressed optimism about the cross-party initiative to block a far-right majority, but he dismissed the notion of Ensemble forming a cross-party government in the event of a hung parliament. Instead, he suggested that moderates would collaborate on legislation on an individual basis. And I'm guessing in this case, that's a very, very smart thing, because if the electorate just threw your party out, the last thing you want to be saying publicly in order to get them to vote for a, collaborative bloc or cooperative bloc that is trying to prevent the right from becoming the majority party is saying stuff, well, yeah, but we're going to remain in government by making this deal, even though you kicked us out. So, whoever's doing this, they're reading the room. Sources from Macron's cabinet say the president also ruled out forming a coalition with the far left, France Unbowed, party led by Jean-Luc Mélenchon. It is unknown whether he discussed other coalition possibilities. These remarks highlight that even if the RN fails to gain power, France may face prolonged political uncertainty until the next presidential election in 2027. Le Pen has indicated a willingness to collaborate with other parties if the RN does not achieve an absolute majority. Her choice for Prime Minister, Jordan Bardella, has stated he would refuse to form a government without a clear mandate. According to the survey, more than 4 out of 10 French people believe that none of these political parties will have an absolute majority in the National Assembly, while 35% believe that the National Rally will achieve it. So there you go. So big things going all around the world. We should probably have some results coming in probably by Monday. I'm guessing when we do Monday's show, we'll find out, we'll know a little bit more about how the world is changing. Now, in the UK, part of this is definitely a rejection of conservatives, because, it has been 14 years, and they've accumulated a track record that was less than stellar in that time. But also, it falls in the trend with the rejection of incumbents that seems to be going on globally around the world. We've seen it in Italy, we've seen it in Sweden, we've seen it in the Netherlands. Even in India, even though Modi won, he does not have an absolute majority to his own party anymore. He was somewhat humbled. In South Africa, same thing with the AFN. They're still the dominant party, but they do not have an absolute majority anymore for the first time since the end of apartheid. There's a big rejection of incumbency going on simultaneously, as there seems to be a bit more of a pendulum swing globally to the right. So far, it seems that in Europe, at least, it's able to be contained with the European parliamentary elections, making it such that even though the far right nations did grow in terms of seat and vote share, that the center right party is not with them, and that they can form different alliances to be able to operate in the European Parliament. And we're seeing it now in France, where people are willing to collaborate in order to keep the right in check, rather than splitting the vote so many different ways. So who knows? That gives us hope over here. It gives us hope for what's going on in the United States as well. So, yeah. And in local news, because since we're talking about elections, Kit Toronto Dan informs us that the by-election for City Councillor in Ward 15, Don Valley West, is set for November 4th, 2024. So if you're in the area, make sure that you make your plan to vote. And there are going to be some other by-elections coming on as well in Canada. I believe that the Prime Minister has at least 2 or if not 3 more to declare before the next election, which will create an interesting situation here, because with the loss in Toronto St. Paul's, that of course everybody, I heard somebody say, or saw it somewhere online, somebody said, can we please stop using the word shocking in front of the word? It's a shocking loss. It's a shocking loss. They seem to go together now. There was shocking with the by-election loss when you talked about Toronto St. Paul's. But we have some interesting parallel tracks going on in Canada and the United States, where there seems to be a big media push for the current leader to be gone, Joe Biden, because apparently Joe Biden is so old, despite the fact that the other guy believes that Joan Rivers voted for him, even though she died 2 years before the 2016 election, and seems to believe that Hannibal Lecter is a real person and also a good person. Yes, apparently. But Joe Biden is so old, so apparently he's the one that has to go. He's pretty much saying that he's going to dig in. His press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, made a bit of a weird statement, though, however, saying that the debate performance, of course, was affected a little bit by a cold and perhaps some cold medicine, but also that he had been recovering from jet lag. But the jet lag one was, I don't know why they said that, because apparently when you look at the travel logs, it had been a certain number of days since he had last traveled in such a way where jet lag could potentially be a factor. So yeah, I think that was a big slip. It was called flag on the play, trying to explain something away using something that is not particularly possible or plausible in this scenario. However, he's trying to make it very clear that he is staying. Of course, all the polling companies are doing polling, seeing, what if it was Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump? What if it was Pete Buttigieg versus Donald Trump? What if it was Gavin Newsom against Donald Trump instead, in order to keep the narrative going, right? Everybody's talking about how the old guy who forgot where he was going in one sentence and had a cold during the debate has got to go, but there's no narrative about the guy with 34 felony counts not being fit, or the guy that just starts rambling about sharks and batteries not being fit. It's really one way. And over here, we have something similar. It's like, when is Justin going? When is Justin going? It's like, I'm not going. When is Justin going? It's up to him to decide when he's going to go. I think, however, the fact that there are 2 more by-elections, if there are more surprises than those are certainly going to add to the narrative. But both of them are claiming that they are staying. In Canada at home, it seems that one MP has decided to make a public call saying that there needed to at least be a big meeting. This MP is not running in the next election, so it kind of makes for a weird statement. If they were staying, it would sort of had more weight. And it would appear that word on the tweet is that this MP is more of a blue liberal. And, well, you don't have to ask blue liberals, right? And people are going to freak out when I say this, but Thomas Mulcair, blue liberal, because he was with the NDP and tried to make it a sort of version of a progressive conservative party when he was there. But John Manley, the guy that they always run to get a liberal to say something bad about the current liberals, because he's typically a blue liberal. They're calling. They're the ones that are making public calls. But it seems that within the caucus, there isn't that much public call. There's that one MP and a former minister, Catherine McKenna.
Yeah, I was surprised
also
at
made
that,
the call.
actually.
Me too. That surprised me. But that's about it. In the United States, there are 3 elected representatives at the maximum that have publicly made the call when it comes to Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that even we're at the point now that maybe this narrative will start to drop, because even Canadians now are pretty much convinced that the Prime Minister is indeed going to stay.
Oh, he is.
Right.
He said he's not leaving.
Yeah, but according to a Leger poll conducted online of 1,521 people between June 20th and June 30th, it found that 2/3 of those who responded believe Trudeau will remain as party leader all the way to the next election under Canada's fixed election date law. So, if the majority of Canadians believe the Prime Minister and take him at his word that they'll stay, then the media should probably just give up on this horse race, on this sort of horse race narrative. When's he going to go? When's he going to go? And just accept the fact that he's going to stay, so that we can actually start covering some actual news.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really easy to write the same article 50 days in a row. Because now you're actually going to have to do some work. Like maybe ask some questions about the guy. See, here's the thing. If the by-election win in Toronto St. Paul's is so bad that the Prime Minister absolutely has to go, well then that would mean it's pretty much inevitable that Pierre Poilievre would be the next Prime Minister. So it should be that all the cameras of the nation switch to Pierre. Say, okay, Father Mucker, let's give you some scrutiny. And yet that has not happened. It's happening a little bit. Linda McQuaig wrote an interesting piece, and there was another one that came out yesterday that I'm going to dig into and then be able to bring some stuff to you on and about. But seems to me that the natural, if you're already declaring the current Prime Minister has to go and he's dead and buried and he has no chance to win, then now let's look at the new guy. Right? We've already buried him. Let's look at the new guy. Let's put our lens on him and see what you find out. Let's see if that happens. All right. Since we have to go soon, do I have a couple of little tidbits for you here?
Yes. I wanted to share.
Oh, sure.
A clip from a gentleman, progressive gentleman in Alberta, who kind of sums up a lot of how I've been feeling and trying to describe it, but he does it in a different tone than he does it in the way that I used to frequently. And I'm trying to slowly, take myself away from that and be a little bit more reserved and calm in the way I describe things. And this gentleman starts out very calm and reserved, and then he gets fired up because it's something to be fired up about. And he and I feel the exact same way about this. And I think you may have seen this once before, but it's 2 minutes of your time that I ask you to watch, take in, and pay attention to.
You don't give a fuck about the money.
Oops, I forgot to start it from the beginning.
I really appreciate the help I'm getting in the comments from fellow progressives, economists, people who can do basic math. But I need you to accept something for me, because it's only become clear to me in the last couple of years, and I think it's going to help you in your political discourse with your family members, with your coworkers, with your colleagues, your clients. Conservatives, by and large, don't care about the money. $10 a day childcare. I saw this 100 times in the comments there. Who's going to pay for this? Why should my tax dollars go to pay for that? And you can explain to them again and again and again and again and again that $10 a day childcare is going to save everybody money. You can explain it. You can explain that housing the homeless is cheaper. You can explain that safe injection sites save millions of dollars in healthcare money. You can explain it till you are red in the face. I've fucking done it. Deep down, these people don't give a fuck about the money. Fiscal conservatism, go fuck yourself. You don't give a fuck about the money. Then why? Good question. Great question. And I hope you're sitting down for this. Because they want women, disabled people, drug addicts, the homeless to suffer and to die in silence. And they're willing to pay money for it. They're willing to pay more in taxes. They're willing to pay more for healthcare. They're willing to pay more for housing, for public transport. They're willing to pay more and get less as long as it means that the people that they judge not worthy suffer. If you think I'm wrong, look around you. Just look. That's all you got to do is look.
And see, here's the thing about that. It's basically what I've been saying. He summed it up really quickly and got really angry, and I'm fine with that because I agree with everything he said. And I have, as I've talked about on this show many times, friends that are progressive conservatives who agree with everything he just said because they believe in things like we've seen the metrics on what childcare, $10 a day daycare does. How many women have gotten back into the workforce as a direct result of that? How it puts more money into the system than it ever draws out. How housing the homeless is cheaper. How providing safe injection sites and safe supply is cheaper. And actual progressive, and this is the key word here, conservatives like the idea that we can save tax dollars. But you need to be progressive first. And the current crop of conservatives that we have in our House of Commons, I don't think there's a single one among them. Maybe Scott Aitchison and maybe Michael Chong are progressive, but they've let that slip a little bit in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. I've got news that'll make you happy, Mr. Grizzly.
Oh, what's that?
On July 7th, in Newfoundland and Labrador. Today, the provincial government launched a Newfoundland and Labrador disability benefit that will achieve a basic income for a person with disabilities.
Nice.
The new initiative, enabled by a $26 million investment, further highlights the provincial government's commitment to improving the well-being of all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. The announcement was made by the Honourable Paul Pike, Minister of Children, Seniors and Social Development, and Minister responsible for the status of person with disabilities. Minister Pike was joined by Dr. Pat Parfrey, Deputy Minister, Health Transformation, as well as Dwayne Morgan, CNIB Vice President, that's Canadian National Institute for the Blind, Atlantic Canada, and Dennis Gill, father of an adult son living with disabilities, past President of Inclusion Canada, Newfoundland and Labrador, and the chair of the Buildings Accessibility Advisory Board. The Newfoundland and Labrador Disability Benefit will come into effect in July 2025 and will include up to $400 per month to persons with disabilities and the $1,200 in the Registered Disability Savings Program, which will begin in January 2025 for those that qualify. Eligibility for the disability benefit is based on income levels for persons aged 18 to 64 and is in addition to other provincial financial supports that persons with disabilities may receive. Is in addition to, not in lieu of, but in addition to. This benefit. Yes. This benefit will also be in addition to other supports the provincial government provides to persons living with low income. On top of those two forms of support, the new benefit also builds on federal benefits the same way as other provincial benefits, such as the Newfoundland and Labrador Income Supplement, Child Benefit, and Seniors Benefit. The RDSP is a long-term savings plan for persons with disabilities and their families, which aims to help provide financial security for their futures. And Dr. Andrew Furey, who is the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, said, quote, "We will continue to take action and make investments that will contribute to building a province that is inclusive, accessible, and equitable. With this new benefit that will achieve basic income for persons with disabilities, our goal is to directly target the challenges impacting persons with disabilities and their families that are compounded when they are experiencing low income." Boom. And that Newfoundland and Labrador went first to take the federal money and add something and do something that now puts pressure on other provinces to not claw back.
Yeah. This is a tremendous move forward for the province because the savings will be seen. Number one, the savings will be seen. Number one. Number two, that money that people now have to spend on things will be spent on things like better quality food instead of junk. I'm sure there's probably going to be a very tiny percentage of people who spend it on drugs and alcohol, but there's people who already do that right now. I'm just putting that out there because you know damn well somebody's going to say it. I would say that the vast majority will be able to just live a better life. Put a couple of bucks away. Get better food, get better clothing, get better everything. The money will largely come straight back into the economy. And it will save us money in the long term because we'll have to spend less on ambulatory services and healthcare costs due to the fact that people aren't desperate to call an ambulance so they can get a warm bed and a proper meal.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
And it will keep people out of, you know how many people will go and commit a petty crime just so that they can get a night to sleep in a jail cell and get a meal? You know how often that happens? And I know police officers and I know people who work in central booking here in Ottawa and have said there's so many people who do that regularly in the wintertime. And in the extreme heat of the summer, they'll do it because it's air conditioned. They want a cot and a hot. So a hot meal and a cot. So yeah,
Indeed.
Pay rent. You're right, Carol. People will be able to pay rent too.
Exactly.
No clawback. This is in addition to. So now your life can improve.
Indeed. Kit Linda asked, do disabled people say this is good? Will it really help them? I'm trying to look through an article very quickly, but we're going to, because Mr. Grizzly has to heart out, I'm going to do the sign out, and hopefully I'll be able to bring you an answer during the Easter egg as I scan the article during the credits. Okay. So, Kits and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring. Word of mouth is priceless. So let your peeps and poops know all about us. If you would like to not miss an episode, you do not have to. Thanks once again to the Ray Girl for sponsoring our pod page for yet another season. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You go to podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words, or you scan the QR code that has just appeared right on time. Good work, Mr. Grizzly. And that will bring you there. When we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it will come directly to you. Thank you, Kit T. Wigmore, for saying that you enjoyed the episode. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for that kindness. If you would like to support us in other ways, make like Kit and Elaine and go to the now 4,000 subscriber True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page and play with our buttons. Lick, click, and flick them. Do them in front of your cowboy. Do them in reverse cowgirl. Hey, we don't care. What?
I'm not.
But if you do, thank you so very much. And if you'd like to help us in other ways, the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head will bring you to our coffee page and the emergency hydration fund here at the Beaver Lodge. It's getting hot out here. We're parched. Help us remain moist by making a contribution. Go to our coffee page, ko-fi.com/Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all in one word, or scan the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head. We thank you so very much. We love to hear from you. TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com is our email address. Write to us at our Twitter feed, True Eager. Leave a comment on our YouTube page, or go to our Facebook blog page, True North Eager Beaver, on Facebook, of course. And let us know what you're thinking, because we do read everything. Because democracy is something that you do. If you are living in Saskatchewan, New Brunswick, or British Columbia, provincial elections are coming up, so please get ready for that. If you are living, I don't remember which ward it is, but where Kit Dan is in Toronto, where the by-election's coming up, get ready for that too. Right? Sign up to volunteer or to work the polling station if you're in the area. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom?
Yeah, because I'm feeling a little anxious about, all the things that I've got to get done today before I get on that plane. Try and remember to breathe. It's more advice for me. just remember to breathe. Breathe deep. It'll calm you down. It'll release GABA into your brain, and you will feel better. So I'm saying that out loud, so I remember to do it myself. And Monday morning, I will be live from Calgary. And I'm going to shoot some video on the weekend at the Stampede, so we'll have something for you Monday. I'm not even sure where I'm going to be. I might be in Jasper on Monday. I'm not sure. And we're recording Monday evening. I understand it's 7 p.m. Eastern. Is that correct, sir?
8 p.m. Eastern we have, Devin, for recording.
So 6 p.m. Calgary. Okay, that's good to know. Just keep in touch with me, so I'll,
Remember?
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. Kids and cubs, could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself and have a wonderful weekend. Mr. Grizzly, please cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, so to answer Kit Linda's question, and some extra information here. The criteria is you need to be between 18 and 64 years old and have an income below $42,404. If you do that, you gain an extra $600 a month. So it's not $400 including the $200 from the federal government. It's $400 from the province on top of the $200 for the federal government for an extra $600. So that's pretty cool. And that the full $400 from Newfoundland is for people with an annual income of less than $29,402, though. But it will still be income tested up until $42,404. You'll get partial benefit up until there. On top of the income benefit, the province is kicking in an annual payment of $1,200 for the Registered Disability Savings Plan. Nancy Reed, who's the executive director of the Coalition of Persons with Disabilities Newfoundland and Labrador, says that having zero clawbacks from other support programs is the only way the new benefit will work. Quote, obviously this benefit is only important if it's a benefit on top of existing supports. That was stated several times in the conversation and stated very clearly that nothing being received by a person through whatever source would be removed or changed in any way. That is certainly positive and something that is necessary for this to be meaningful in the community. The government expects more than 5,000 people to receive the new benefit. Again, it starts next year. Reed said that the announcement is a good first step, but hopes groups like hers will be able to work with the province over the next year to ensure people don't fall through the cracks. Quote, a phrase we often say is nothing about us without us, and this speaks to that so clearly. This disability benefit is about persons with disabilities, but we in the community have been given no indication that persons with disabilities were actually part of this planning and where we went from there. Yes, there were consultations, but consultations are very different from actually being in the room and a part of the planning and the rollout of it. So there you go.
Gotta go. I'm late. I'll see you.
All right.